everyone. Hello. I wanted to talk about the Anything Goes book. I didn't get a chance. I did a video on the beginning of the Anything Goes book, and I'm just going to flip through the pages while I babble because I've got a lot to say. I did do a video on the Anything Goes book. It was called a catch-all book or the sketchbook project when I first started, and it has turned into the Anything Goes book because sketchbooks seem to be too intimidating for people. So Anything Goes, this is a book or a signature or pieces of paper. It doesn't have to be a book. This is a book for us to do experiments in and to learn how to play. And I wanted to talk a little bit about it while I wasn't streaming so that I could say a bunch of things about the book and what it is all about and why it is something that you might want to try for yourself. So the Anything Goes book, the whole concept for the Anything Goes book is this is a place for you to do all kinds of different things, experiments, to try things out. And I even wrote in the beginning here what it is for experiments, to try new techniques, to learn about your tools, to practice stuff, to warm up for your art journal, to record your ideas, to make lists of things you want to do. This is a place for learning how to play. It's a place for just self-expression, to learn how to enjoy the process of doing mixed media. It is okay. The whole purpose of this book is to learn how to play. It's okay if it's messy. It's okay if things are spelled incorrectly. It's okay if you make mud. It's okay if things don't turn out just the way you wanted them to turn out. This is the place to do all those things that you want to see what will happen. And then it's a place that you can write notes. Oh, I like the way this turned out, or no, I did not like the way this turned out. You can write notes. I like this color. This is what this is. This is acrylic paint. This is watercolor. This is the color. All that kind of stuff. This is a place to learn how to play. All right. And I wanted to say something about, I don't remember where I was, but I want to just flip through this so that you can see some of the pages as I'm talking about it. And then I will talk about some of the pages themselves. All right. I wanted to talk about learning how to play. The whole thing about this Anything Goes book is learning how to play, getting the courage to start doing mixed media. It is scary to start. You don't know where to start. You don't know what to do. You have all your stuff that you spent a lot of money on and you don't know how to use that stuff. This is the place to get over those kinds of fears. So I want to talk about learning how to play. And this is how I think of learning how to play. All right. I was told when I started out and I had, whatever I had, watercolors or acrylic paints or pens, pencils, whatever. I don't know how many people would always say, just play with it. You'll learn, you'll figure it out. Just play with the stuff. Just play with it. You'll figure it out. Well, I didn't figure it out. I didn't know how to play. And this is what I'm talking about. All right? If I was given a hula hoop and I had never seen anybody in my life ever play with a hula hoop, I've never seen a hula hoop in my life before. Someone gives me one and says, go outside, go play with it. It's a lot of fun. Well, I'm going to go outside And I don't know, what am I going to do with this thing? I've never seen anybody use it. Don't know what the basic principles of this hula hoop is. I have no idea. So I maybe play with it for 5 or 10 minutes, and I'm bored. There's I don't know. What am I supposed to do with this thing? It makes a difference if someone were to show you what the basic principle of a hula hoop, how it works, what you do. It makes it a whole lot more fun to play around with it when you're trying to get it to work the way it's supposed to work. It takes some practice to get it to do that, and that's part of the challenge, and that's part of the fun. So when I say let's learn how to play, I am showing some different kinds of things that you can start doing to start enjoying the process of mixed media. And that is what this Anything Goes book is all about. It is a place to start to do things, to get over the fears, to learn how to use some of these items that we all buy, that we all have, that we don't know what to do with. We don't know what's going to happen when we use it. So this is the principle, the whole principle of the Anything Goes book. We're going to do stuff in the book, and it doesn't matter if it turns out right or it doesn't turn out right. And I love this page. This is the Inca Gold Circles. Love the page. It doesn't matter if it doesn't turn out. This is not an art journal. Let me repeat that. It is not an art journal. It's not supposed to be pretty. It's not. This is where we work out what we want to do. If we do like what happens, and I do love this page, if we like what happens in our book, in our experiment, we can take this same process that we enjoy doing and go to our art journal and do the same thing in our art journal. That way, when we get our art journal pages started and going, we've got pages that we like, right? I would love to know what the whole Anything Goes book process is all about, is learning the kinds of things that we like to do. Not everybody likes doing the same stuff. Some people like just to paint paper, and that's okay. Some people like to stencil. Some people hate stenciling. Some people just need to practice stenciling a little bit more to become more happy with their stenciling. This is a perfect place to practice stenciling, to practice stamping, which I'm horrible at. It is a place to work on layers. I am one of those people that I put on a couple of layers and think that that's good enough. I'm trying to get myself to put more layers on my pages, and this is my practice. I practice putting layers on top of layers and more layers, and I write notes. I write notes about all of the things that I do, the things I don't like, the things I do like. I have lists of things that I want to try. This book is just a jumble mess. It is just a place to do things. I've got pages where I've just glued things in. I'm going to come back to these pages. I'm going to add paint. I'm going to add stamping, stenciling. I don't know what I'm going to do. But I just spent a day and just glued scrapbook paper in, little bits of numbers, some text, some pictures, some magazine pictures that caught my eye. I spent another day just scraping paint in and doing some stenciling. I did another day where I did mark making. I just scribbled. I just did all kinds of stuff. Here's another page that just got some circles on it, and some glued bits of something. Here's a scribble page. I just scribbled like crazy. Scribble, scribble, scribble. Here's a page where I tested a circle stamp that I made. I just wanted to see if it worked, what it looked like. I just put those stamps in here and then started putting stuff on top of it. So let's start talking about learning how to play and some of the things that we've done already in this book. Like I said, this is a composition book. It's a cheap book. You can use anything that you want. You might have art journals that you bought, that you started, that you didn't like the looks of, that it didn't turn out the way you wanted to. You went to a different book. Use something that you have. Use something that you don't care about too much, that you're not going to worry about messing up. Something that's already messed up. So you just add more mess to your other mess. You haven't lost anything. But you might gain the confidence to actually start a art journal later on with something else, with some of the techniques that you like doing in the Anything Goes book. So some of the things that we've done already, like I said, I started out this Anything Goes book by just gluing some magazine images in, some book pages in. What else did I glue in? Some scrapbook paper, just a bunch of stuff. I just glued in a bunch of stuff. This one I haven't done anything to yet. I just glued in some stuff. The next step was adding paint. It can be watercolors, acrylics. You can use a credit card to scrape paint in. You can use a paintbrush to paint it in. You can use a baby wipe, whatever you want to do. So put some color. Here's some scrapbook paper that needs some color. Just put some color on some pages. They don't even have to have anything on them. You can get a blank page, start putting some color on there. This will help you get past the blank page. Another thing about the Anything Goes book is I do, and this is something that I do, you don't have to do it this way, but it's something that helps me, is I do a little bit of something on one page. I go to another page, do a little bit of something on that page, go back to a page that has something in it, add something else. Add some pen marks. Add some mark making of any kind. Add some collage. Add some images. Add some paint. Like I said, I put a little bit of scrapbook paper down here. Then I stopped. I went to something else. I did something else. I added these images at one point. Added some paint. So I'd add a little bit of paint to one page, then I'd go to another page, add a little bit of paint. When I add paint, though, I usually add the paint and then let the book dry so my pages don't get stuck together. I do a lot of gluing at one time, but the paint, I usually just do one page, let it dry, and go to another page. So that's all that I've done. So, and then, after adding some paint to some pages, then I would come back, maybe add some more collage, do some stenciling on top of that stuff, do some stamping with some homemade stamps. This one is homemade stamps, and then I outlined with a gel pen. Did some stamping with a tree stamp. I did a magazine image. So to go through the book so you can see some of the things that you can do. And I have been writing myself notes about some of the things that we've been doing. So let me start from the top here. Scribble writing. Just scribble as you think, as fast as you can. Just write something. It doesn't have to be anything that you can read later on. It's just the illusion of writing. This is for two reasons. Number one, if you really don't want to read what you have read before, This is a good way to get whatever you've got on your mind out of your mind and on the paper. You never have to read it again. It's gone, it's out of there, it's whatever. Another thing is to get used to your own handwriting. I am one of those people, I really don't like my own handwriting. I'd rather have somebody else's handwriting. But if I continue to do some writing in here and I look at it at later dates, the more I see my own writing, the more I like it. I don't know what it is. So I am trying to get myself to get familiar with my own handwriting. I get used to what it looks like, and I'm going to embrace what my handwriting looks like. So that's what all this is all about. Sgraffito, we did a little sgraffito, which is crayons rubbed onto the paper and scratched into for some kind of design. We'll do some more of that. Add tissue paper, glue in magazine images, use different kinds of paper. This is some foil wrapping paper that I just had some triangles and I just glued it in. Do some scribbling, some doodling. Zen doodles are good for this. Here's just some pen. So I did some loose circles. No paint, nothing, just some loose circles. Here I collaged a bunch of strips of paper. I did some stamping of that leaf stamp on top, and then so I could try out some different pens, and I did write the pen. I outlined with different kinds of pens this stamp. This one is outlined with Big Pen. This one I used a Sharpie. This one is a Posca pen. This one is one of those, it's a General's all pencil, but you can use a Stabilo all pencil. And this one, I used a blue gel pen. And that way, when I come back to this later, and I like the looks of something that I did, I know what I did. I know what I used. And I can do that again in my art journal. Here, I get to choose and pick different stuff and just practice using it. Number one, start using our stuff. And number two, see what it looks like. Do I like the looks of an all pencil outlined like that? Or would I rather use a Sharpie? Then I can go to my art journal and I can do what I want it to look like. I'm going to know what it's going to look like ahead of time. And I'm not going to be disappointed that I ruined something. I know what it's going to look like. It was an experiment. What do different pens look like? Here is just an image put in. Scrape on some color, scribble, scribble doodles, stamp with watercolor, do some ink smushing. We enjoy ink smushing. That's really relaxing. Here's just some collage, glue in book pages, draw circles, and then Zen doodle inside the shapes. This is a tree that we did on a stream. It's the circle tree. I found in one of my magazines, I found this tree. And I liked the looks of it, and I thought that is something interesting, and I think I would like to try to use this as an inspiration and see what I can do with that inspiration. So they had used a bunch of different squares of colored paper to make this tree. And I thought, I've got a circle punch that I never use, so I grabbed a bunch of scrapbook paper, punched out a bunch of circles with the scrapbook paper, and I made a tree with the circles. And then I made a little trunk with book page and painted it to make the trunk of the tree. So that was my little experiment. I really liked the way it turned out. I couldn't see the circles at the time, so I took a General's all pencil and outlined the circles and put a little bit of water wash on the circle, on the lines to soften them a little bit and to make my tree. So it was an experiment to see what I could do with that little bit of inspiration. I enjoy going through the Stampington and Company magazines, especially art journaling, that kind of thing. I like going through there and finding things that I want to try. This is a great place to either write down something that you want to try from those magazines or rip out that little bit of instructions that you get in the magazine, glue it in here, and try it on the next page. Follow the instructions, see what happens. See what happens. This is what it's all about. Anything goes. It's all about experimenting and not worrying about what it's going to look like at the end. That is why I do a little bit of something on one page, a little bit of something on another page. I don't have an image of what my page I think should look like at the end. It's going to be a surprise. I don't know where I'm going with this. I am learning to just enjoy the process and not worry about the finished product. Practice stenciling, layer stencils. Here's some more scribble writing. It's not really writing. It is scribbling, pretending like you're writing. But it gives the illusion of writing. So draw inside the stencils, the spirograph. That's always fun to do. If you don't know what else to do, this is a great place to just start doing something. Play a little bit with your spirograph. Draw around a stencil a little bit. Scrape some paint in. Do some gluing. Something might trigger what you really want to do, and then you can go and do whatever it is you do. If you've only got a couple minutes, this is a great place to waste some time. Here's a trace your hand, and then I colored my hand and did some writing, some words inside there. This is a great place to waste some time, just to mess around. You've got 5 minutes. What can you do in 5 minutes? Can you do some stamping? Can you do a little bit of writing? Can you glue a few things in? Here's add napkins. It's just Zen Doodle. Trying out different things. You don't know if you're going to like it unless you try it. And you might not like it right away. Sometimes you need a little bit of practice. When you're doing your hula hoop, it's not so much fun in the beginning until you can actually do a little bit of hula hooping. Is that a word? Hula hooping? It's not really fun until you practice enough so that you can actually get it to work. And then it can be really, really fun. Hula hooping. And then when you get really good at hula hooping, you can challenge yourself by adding a second hula hoop, or learning how to hula hoop around your ankle or around your neck, or adding hula hoops around your wrists and doing something like that. It's one of those things that you learn how to do the basics and then you challenge yourself to go further. What else can you add? What more can you do? Mixed media is like that. You don't have, the sky's the limit. There is so much that you can do, so many different kinds of things you can use. We can make faces. We can make faces. Use the markers. Use the stuff that you've got. Yeah, I know that I am not the only one that buys something and uses it maybe once and then it dries up because I forgot about it. Let's start using our stuff. Let's try to figure out what to use it with. This is the place to use our stuff, to learn how to use the stuff, to see what will happen when we use it, what happens when we add water, our markers, our watercolors, our crayons. Remember being a kid and just being able to color or make a house, color a page? Let's be a kid again. Let's learn how to play. Let's enjoy the process. Let's make some stamps. Let's outline stamps. Let's test our stamps. Let's do some mark making. Let's Let's see what else is in here. Add numbers. Use watercolors to stencil with. Make some borders. There's a good place to put a bunch of borders so that you have a reference. You can come back and you can see all the borders that you did. And you might have forgotten, oh, I could do that border in my art journal or my postcard or whatever I'm working on. So this is all about practice and learning to let go and learning to be not so much a perfectionist like I am. Practicing layers, that's a hard one. It is a hard one. I'm still practicing layers. Here's the Inca Gold. These are the circles that I stamped with Inca Gold. It was an experiment. What happens when I stamp with Inca Gold? I loved the result. I love looking at this page. Love it. Just add more layers. Just relax and go with it. And so I think I've got everything I wanted to say about the Anything Goes book. It is a place for everything, anything. It is a place that we don't have to worry about it being pretty. It's not something you have to share with anybody. This is for your own personal experiments and figuring stuff out. No one has to see this. That is the whole point of the Anything Goes book. If you do happen to like what is going on in the book after you get going a little bit, that is one thing. But to start out with, keep in mind, this is just for you. This is not to share. It gives you a little bit more freedom, a little bit more courage to try stuff out so that you're not worried about what it's going to look like. That's the whole point of the Anything Goes book. So I have started streaming on Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And Sundays I am saving for the Anything Goes book. So I am doing experiments and I'm going to start doing some challenges that we can do in the book or we can do outside the book. I'm going to give you some suggestions on some things to try. And last week we worked on layering. Layering is a big one for a lot of people. Layering takes practice. Layering takes a lot of practice. It's really hard to let yourself go to do enough layering. So I invite you all to come to the Sunday stream and grab a book, any kind of book. You can do a blank book or a composition book. You can use just blank pieces of paper or even a signature that you've sewn together so that you can test out different kinds of paper. Come to the stream and we'll work in our Anything Goes book. Here's our kid houses. We were a kid for 5 minutes and we made houses like we were a kid. It's not one of my favorite pages, but it was fun. It was fun. And I do want to say, when you do start having fun, the pages that you do show that you are having fun. The more fun you have with your pages, the better the pages look. So the more practice you have on doing things, the more fun it is, the better your pages will look. So this is your practice book to get going with the layers and all those other things. Crayon rubbings. Here is, I was making some inchies and turned over the image and found this poor little girl and decided that she needed a place to live. So she got glued in here. We're going to do the ransom note words. Just use letters to spell out words. Use watercolor crayons or gelatos. It is just a place to play. So, like I said, come join me Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We will, here's me trying to get used to my writing. We'll just play in the Anything Goes book. We'll be doing different things every week. You can start at any time. You don't have to do anything that you don't want to do. If you don't like stenciling, don't stencil. Do the things that make you happy. So I just want to invite you. I'd love to see you at the stream. I would love to know that people are working along with me. I just want to get all those things in your head to get you going. So thanks for watching.